got all of this on clearance. Main bedroom. And Stella's in here. Here's like the shape the carpet was in. We had some stains from like scrubbing it. If you go this way, you're into the craft room. It's from Home Depot. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Erin and I do mostly budgeting videos like the one you're about to see here. First things first, thank you so much for tuning in. I have so much to talk about in this video, so I hope that you are in for something chatty. I have my budget planner in front of me. That's what we'll be working out of today. I'm going to be talking about my side income, my husband's unemployment, and also my first paycheck with my pay cut. Before I get into that, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. If you missed my video yesterday or you're just not into like more vlog style videos, I totally get it. That's absolutely fine. But I did want to show you guys kind of a little bit of a progress shot of how we're doing with our flooring for our upstairs. So the reason why I thought that was relevant is because we did use some of our money. You know, it was very financially relevant, I thought, to do a video and show you what we did with that money and what we did with that new credit card and everything like that. So if you're interested, that is up. Because some of you have shown an interest, I will be doing a complete after video just to show you how everything came together and, you know, also just to kind of mix it up here on this channel and give you guys just something a little bit different to view. If I sound a little breathy in this video, I just wanted to mention that because I know things like that can be distracting to some viewers, and I do apologize for that. I'm on a lot of medication that makes you super jittery to kind of combat this bronchial pneumonia I have going on. That being said, I did want to let you know that I am so glad to be back in my usual spot to film this video. This is a different desk. It's not a new desk, but we've rearranged some furniture and things like that. So if you're used to like that marbly contact paper background on my old table, been moved. So this is one of the desks that I had in the craft room to begin with. So it just took a different spot. And I know acoustically it's not the best right now, but we don't have any throw rugs or anything yet. So it's still a work in progress. But let's talk about budget things, because that is something I haven't really done in probably almost a week, maybe more than a week. I don't even know. I've been back and forth to doctors, and I was at work, then I was back home from work, and it's just been really, really challenging. On top of today's video, I also wanted to let you know that I will be filming a July recap. Because I really like doing that type of video. I used to do that all the time at the beginning of this channel. And I'll also be doing an August forecast because it's been a while since I talked to you guys about, you know, regular bills and expenses and things like that. And that all has so much to do with everyday budgeting. So I thought it was time to kind of get back to the nitty-gritty and, you know, make sure that we include everything that goes into the overall budget. So let's start with side income. So I have to say that I'm not thrilled to report this number, but I'm glad that I had something coming in because, of course, it will cover gas money this week and things like that. So because I was, you know, kind of not feeling the best last week and I had so much going on and our house has been majorly a construction zone, it was just really hard for me to go to work, come home, you know, start deliveries and things like that. It was just, there was too much going on. It was too chaotic. So my number for Grubhub is probably, well, it is the lowest number I've had since I've been doing it. All right, so I'm going to write down Grubhub. And just on a weekly basis, that is my only side income, just in case you guys were wondering. So it was $79.80. Better than nothing. I'm grateful for it. Next week, you could just be seeing a zero there. And, you know, that's just how it goes, I guess, sometimes. So for unemployment, we took out, it's not exactly $10.50, but this was the last COVID week. So this is how much we took out of the bank. It's just a little bit like more than that, but not much. So just to round it, I'm just putting down $10.50. I also had some extra cash in the bank because I was doing so many transfers and switcheroos in the last week. It was making my head spin. So something I'm definitely not used to. The reason for this is because I had talked to you guys probably over the past few weeks about online checking accounts. And through that discussion, I did kind of find a system that I think I'm really comfortable with, I'm really happy with. And I will show you a screenshot as part of this video to let you know what my sinking funds look like now. But I was doing so many transfers, like I get paid in one account, which didn't happen over the past couple weeks, so that really wasn't relevant. But things like Grubhub get deposited in that account and whatever. And I was taking the money out, I was doing my videos to show you guys, and then I deposited into my second local banking checking account. The reason why I did that is because I've always had 2 checking accounts at 2 different banks. I just never really used the one I always intended to. We were going to do some refinancing with this bank, so they wanted you to have a checking account and a savings account there. And then after we didn't go through with it, I just had this account kind of hanging out there. My original savings account and checking account I've had forever, and it's a local bank, and they recently got bought out, and they are having so many glitches and delays and things like that, just trying to come together with the new system and all the new processes and all that goes with that. I'm sure it's very cumbersome, but it was just really slowing things down. So I went ahead, and after I did my videos, anything that needed to go back into the bank, I took to bank number 2, including all of my sinking funds. So if I show you guys my envelopes, they are all completely empty now. I will give you a screenshot of where that money is, same amount, same everything, but I was transferring it, and then I had to transfer it into this new account. At first I was going to use Discover because I had heard really great things about Discover online checking and things like that, but then so many of you had highly recommended Capital One because you can open, I think it's 20 or 25 individual savings account underneath your main checking or something, and you can allocate them and nickname them all kinds of different ways that, you know, like if you have sinking funds, you can name them dogs or groceries or savings, or you know what I'm saying. I found that to be incredibly helpful organization wise. I then took the money I put into Discover and I had to transfer it back to Capital One. It's been crazy. This is the money I ended up with in the bank that I can utilize. So I'm going to count this with you, and then we'll talk about my payday, because my payday is a whole other beast in itself. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 550, 6, 650, 7, 750, 8, 850, 9, 950, 1000, 50, 100, 50, 200, 210, 215, 216, 1216. So I'll put that in my calculator. So that includes my husband's unemployment, it includes Grubhub, and a little bit of extra cash that I'm just throwing into here. Because what I'm going to do with this money is stuff my cash envelopes with it. I'm also going to stuff my sinking fund envelopes with it, but then I'm going to take that money and probably deposit it immediately into bank number 2 so I can get it into my Capital One savings accounts. We have 1216 to work with. Now for payday, this is really sad. I'm gonna write this down. So it was 1306 and change. And if you guys have been with me for a while, you know that my usual paydays are like 1514 or 1516 or thereabouts. And because of our pay cuts and because we're paying extra for our health insurance, this is my new normal. So 1306 as compared to 1514 thereabouts. So I'm down at least $200 per pay, so that's at least $400 per month. I'm really disheartened by it. I'm saddened and a little bit frustrated, but you know, there's always like that little voice in the back of my mind that says, but hey, you still have a job, and so many people lost their jobs during this situation, so you know, just kind of press forward and don't dwell on that. So that is kind of like where my mind is turning, because I don't want to be in a place where I start to get negative and, you know, bitter about things. But this really puts me back to what I was making with my company in 2009. So when you look at it like that, I just took an 11-year step backward in my pay. I don't have a massive paycheck coming in to begin with, but to look back on my pay history and realize that this is what I was making in 09, I just, you know, it's disheartening, but that's okay, because like I said, I have a job and, you know, we're good. So I'm gonna write down 1216 somewhere. I'm just gonna write it down like up here just to make a little note of it so I don't forget that number, because that's the cash I'm working with. But first of all, what I want to do is I want to take $79.80. So I'm going to take $79 minus 20%. I'm going to put $15 aside. Am I going to put 15? No, I'm going to put 16 for my taxes and call it a day. So here is my $16. Here is my tax envelope. As you can see, I left off at $17.09, which is where I'm still at. So I'm going to take $17.09 plus 16, and that is $7.31, and that brings me to $17.25. So immediately I'm going to fund this envelope because I don't want to forget about that and, you know, like have issues or anything. So there's the cash in there. And what I will do with that is put that in bank number 2, so I can then put that to transfer to Capital One. Now, some of you guys said you can deposit directly into Capital One at an ATM. I've never done that. I've never done that in my life for any reason. And so I guess I would have to kind of figure out how that's done. Do you just put it in an envelope? And I have no idea. So the other kind of disappointing thing is Discover, although I don't have all these savings account options that can fund or that can kind of reflect my sinking funds individually, one of their ATMs is my local bank. So it's a free ATM to use. Capital One is much more difficult for me to find free ATMs. That's the downside, I guess, but you know, we'll see how it goes. So I have 12.16, and then of course I just took $16. So I have $1,200 remaining. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tally up all of this money, $79.80 plus $10.50 plus $13.06 equals $24.35.80. So I'm gonna put that here as income. Now next week, my husband's unemployment will be much lower because the CARES Act additional dollars will have been run out. I know they're working on something new, a new package for everybody that includes some stimulus money and also some extra unemployment funds. I'm not sure what that looks like. I've heard rumors that it's going to be 200, that it could be 300. You know, it's kind of all over the place right now. So again, those are just rumors. I'm going to take out 16 for taxes and write that here. I kind of alluded to this in a previous video. My husband lost his job altogether. It's kind of a decision as much as it was a forced circumstance. Just to give you guys kind of the rundown, the company that he works for has locations all over the United States. One of the situations that happened is that locally they shut their doors. And he had been there for about 25 years. Same job, you know, doesn't call off. One of those guys that, you know, just has, you know, that very strong work ethic. When they shut their doors, his job was to answer to a location outside of our state, but work locally. He had to work a little bit longer than most, and so his job was kind of like bouncing around all over the place because of the uniqueness of his particular position. Wherever he was able to transfer to or wherever they decided to send him to, he wouldn't have the same job, which was fine, and he was okay with that. But long story short, we have been waiting for this transfer to occur, and they had to transfer so many people, and this affected people in different states. This was really a massive situation for his company. When it came down to him getting transferred, we thought that was going to happen very early on this year, and because of the virus, things kind of slowed down, shut down, and all of those transfers were put on hold. Recently, he did receive his transfer letter. He put in for, I think, 6 different locations, but he did not get any of those, and he got the worst case scenario, which is in Missouri. And for us, living where we do in the Northeast, that was just entirely too far. I work, you know, my job, I'm gonna have 20 years in January. It's a lot for me to give up. His mom is elderly, you know, we have all of our family here, and the expense of him living there without any type of roommate or anything like that to offset the cost. I honestly, I don't know how we could have done it. I've always said this, if we could afford to run 2 households, we would have had a vacation home a long time ago. A couple things had happened and went into the decision. He had 5 days to accept or sever his ties. He decided to sever his ties. And the reason for that is because there is a clause in their contract where you can take an early retirement option. Now you have to fit all of the categories for that. So your current company's location has to close its doors. You have to be 50 years old or turning 50 within the current contract, which is a 4-year span. So he checks that box, he'll be 50 next year. You also have to have a certain amount of years with the company. He checks that box. Meantime, you do not get any income or health insurance until you turn 50. So had he been 50 years old, he could have started collecting retirement right now. Now we're talking about a personal pension, not Social Security. And so that's a little bit different. But when he turns 62 or whatever the age is by that time, he will be able to also collect Social Security. In the meantime, between now and his birthday next year, he will not have any income or health insurance. So I'm going to have to pay to put him on my health insurance. He can collect unemployment for a little while longer, which we would like to run that out, especially to see what happens with the Extra CARES Act money, because he was kind of delayed in this whole situation. He was also affected by, obviously, you know, being displaced at this time due to the virus. So after that, he will be getting a different job. I wouldn't mind if he delivered Grubhub until next year. That would not bother me one bit, because I think if you hustle with it, you can bring in a lot of money. It just depends on what he decides to do. So right now, that's why it was so important for us to stack our emergency fund. And that's also why it's so important for us to be able to get that back pay that they never gave to him from the state for his first 9 weeks of unemployment that he had to appeal. So as of today's date, we have not received a decision. It still says the status is under review. Check it every day, sometimes multiple times a day, because that money will really help us get by until next year. So we have to get by until next June. In the meantime, he can get another job when his unemployment runs out, which is what he will do. And when he starts collecting his retirement, his personal retirement or his private retirement with the company, it will be at a reduced rate for life. However, he can get another job and he can make as much money as he wants until he turns 62 and collects Social Security. So that's our update. It's going to be a really difficult year for us. Some of you may be wondering, why did you do your floor then? Why did you do this or whatever? And I totally understand those kinds of questions, you know, kind of wondering that sort of thing. It's just something we had to do. We had to do it for my asthma. We had to do it because it needed to be done. And part of, you know, having a home is the upkeep. So sometimes there are just things that you just have to spend money on. So it wasn't a vanity purchase. That's where we're at. So I wanted to explain that to you guys. I know that's a really long explanation. It's very complicated, and to some people it may not make sense, but we have been thinking and living this situation for about a year now, and it's been really, really a struggle, and making that decision was also a struggle. Personally, I'm so glad he decided to do what he did. I didn't want to sway him either way. I wanted him to make that decision for himself. We don't have kids and for us down the road to live apart for 5 or 6 or 7 years. You know, that's just not ideal at this time in our lives. So that's my situation. This is where we're at. I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna do a separate video because this was so long, and I'm gonna stuff my sinking funds and my cash envelopes with you. This will be an immediate follow-up video. But like I said, I had so much to talk to you guys about and bring you up to speed on, and I just thought it was important to do this chatty video just so everybody understands the big picture. If you do have any questions, please list them down below. I will try to get back to everything as quickly as possible. I just appreciate you guys watching and supporting me. Honestly, it just means so much. I will wrap this up now, and I will see you guys in my very next video where we talk about stuffing our cash envelopes. Take care.